Q fever is a disease that can make animals very sick. It's caused by tiny germs called bacteria. The specific bacteria that causes Q fever is named. These bacteria are tough. They can survive in the environment for a long time. This means they can stay on farms and in fields even if you can't see them. Q fever is a zoonotic disease. Zoonosis means it's a disease that can spread between animals and people. This is why it is so important to learn about Q fever and how to prevent it. It's not just about keeping animals healthy, but also about keeping ourselves and our families safe. Many different kinds of animals can get Q fever. Sheep, goats, and cattle are especially vulnerable. These animals are called ruminants. They have special stomachs that help them digest tough plants. When ruminants get Q fever, it often affects their reproductive system. This can lead to serious problems like abortions and stillbirths. Q fever is a serious disease, but we can take steps to protect animals and ourselves. By understanding how Q fever spreads, we can prevent it from making animals and people sick. Q fever spreads in several ways. One common way is through the air. Infected animals cough, releasing bacteria into the air. These droplets can travel long distances. People and animals inhale these contaminated droplets. Birthing fluids from infected animals are highly contagious. Direct contact with these fluids spreads Q fever. This includes urine, feces, and birth products. Farmers and veterinarians should wear protective clothing. Ticks can also transmit Q fever, though less commonly. Drinking unpasteurized milk is another risk. Always drink pasteurized milk to avoid infection. Recognizing the symptoms of Q fever can be tricky. That's because many animals infected with Q fever don't show any signs of illness at all. They might carry the bacteria and spread it without looking or acting sick. This is why it's called a silent disease. Pregnant animals are most at risk of showing severe symptoms. Q fever can cause abortions, stillbirths, and infertility. An abortion is when a pregnancy ends too early, and a stillbirth is when a baby animal is born dead. Infertility means an animal can't get pregnant. These symptoms are devastating for both the animals and the farmers who care for them. They can lead to financial losses and emotional distress. If you notice any of these symptoms in your livestock, it's crucial to contact your veterinarian immediately. While less common, Q fever can also cause symptoms in non-pregnant animals. These might include fever, loss of appetite, weight loss, and breathing problems. However, these symptoms are very general and can be caused by many other illnesses. This makes it even harder to diagnose Q fever based on symptoms alone. Section 4. Diagnosis and treatment of Q fever. Diagnosing Q fever is like solving a puzzle. Veterinarians use a variety of tools and techniques to determine if an animal has Q fever. One of the most common methods is a blood test. This test looks for specific antibodies in the animal's blood. Antibodies are proteins the animal's body produces in response to the bacteria. Finding these antibodies is a good indication that the animal has been exposed to. Another testing method is called PCR. This stands for polymerase chain reaction. PCR is a laboratory technique that can detect even tiny amounts of the bacteria's DNA in blood, tissue, or milk samples. It's a very sensitive and accurate way to diagnose Q fever. Treating Q fever in animals can be challenging. In some parts of the world, vaccines are available for livestock. These vaccines help protect animals from getting sick with Q fever. However, there are currently no labeled treatments for Q fever in livestock in the United States. This means that veterinarians must focus on managing the symptoms and preventing the spread of the disease. This often involves isolating infected animals and implementing strict hygiene measures. Section 5. Prevention, protecting animals and ourselves. Preventing Q fever protects both animals and humans. Good hygiene is essential. Keep barns and stalls clean, especially during birthing season. Remove birth products and dispose of carcasses promptly. Wear PPE when handling livestock, especially during births. PPE includes gloves, masks, and protective clothing. Vaccination controls Q fever where available. Pasteurization of milk prevents Q fever in humans. Q fever is a serious zoonotic disease. By working together, we can protect both animal and human health.